The Power Panel now. Doug Collins, former Republican congressman for Georgia. Kevin Walling, former Biden campaign surrogate. Great to see you both. I'll come to you first, Doug, with, a pretty busy day today and looking forward as well as the crowd on your side of the aisle starts to get really crowded.
It does. And I think a couple of things to notice here, Harris. One, I think President Trump truly believes, and his campaign team believes, that the more the merrier. He has a solid 25, 35, 45% base, depending on where you're at and at any given time. Typically, it's going to be higher. It's going to be closer to 40, 45%. And that's not going away from him. And he believes that, I think it rightly so, that the more the people get in this race without the lane that he has, that it helps him. Now, that doesn't say it's going to last forever. DeSantis has finally kicked off his campaign. He's out there finally attacking. We'll just have to see if it's actually working, because as you played a clip earlier of Kellyanne Conway when she said he's got a fine line to bash. He needs to attack the front runner, but yet at the same time not alienate the voters who he would need to beat that front runner. So it's going to be an interesting time here, and all the rest are playing a supporting role.
All right, let's focus on the Democrats now. There is a top Joe Biden challenger, and he is a Kennedy, Robert Kennedy Jr. He's in New Hampshire just this last hour, and his first official campaign event started this way. Let's watch.
The Democratic Party particularly ought to be making this election a template for democracy to our country and to the rest of the world, and say we're going to have a real democracy where candidates meet human beings, are questioned by them, have town halls, and deal with all of the difficulties and really judge the candidates on what they say and be open to new ideas that are not locked in that ideological razor.
Yeah, he wants a debate. And James Freeman with an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal titled "Biden Has a Kennedy Problem." An excerpt: recent surveys show surprising Kennedy strength and continuing Biden weakness. Kennedy is not running a generic Democratic campaign. He's highlighting support for civil liberties and opposition to war and the national security apparatus, issues that used to resonate among Democrat voters and may be doing so again. So real quickly, Kevin, we're watching between 16 and 20% in recent polling that Robert Kennedy Jr. is getting. So is that enough to take a nomination? Not at this point, but when you add in Marianne Williamson, you're getting closer to that 1/3 of support level. Biden needs to jump in, or you're just fine with him being silent?
I don't think the president is silent whatsoever. And with all due respect to Robert Kennedy Jr. and Marianne Williamson, I don't think they're serious candidates. And I think what you're seeing in terms of that percentage in some of those polls, I think, is just a reaction, like we saw with Donald Trump when he ran again in 2020, of voters wanting to shift attention away from the incumbent. So I think that's just where those votes are going in these polls. They're not serious.
All right, let me slow you down, because I want to ask
any really serious challengers,
some follow-ups for you. So you say they're not serious, and Marianne Williamson has run before. Robert Kennedy is someone that we're looking at fairly new, although he obviously has a legacy in his family. But why would you say not serious?
Well, number one, I mean, Marianne Williamson just seemingly fired all of her staff. She's polling in single digits, having just run, the 4 years before, as you just mentioned. And Robert Kennedy is an unknown. Both of these folks have never served in elected office.
I wouldn't go that far.
I think Robert Kennedy is out of the mainstream, as you said, Harris, with regards to some of the things that he's running on. And especially when folks look at his positions on vaccines within the Democratic Party, I think he's very much out of the mainstream.
There's some in the black community
who
might even look that way, because there were black men in particular during COVID who were expressing just questions. And some of that had to do with our history as a country with Tuskegee. They wanted to know why things had to be mandated. You have to know that talking
Harris,
with real people. There were people
Robert
in this
Kennedy's
country that
go beyond the COVID vaccine. He's taken on vaccines for children as well. So I totally understand where folks are coming from, especially with the Tuskegee issue, certainly.
All right. I want to stay here for just a second, because Doug, it is interesting that almost 1/3 of the vote between two people right now, projected, could not be for the incumbent. What does that say to you?
What it says to me as I'm looking across is is Joe Biden has weakness. His polling numbers say it. He's over 50% of people saying they didn't want him to run. There's a discernment. And look, I appreciate my friend Kevin a bunch. I agree with Kevin that the two current candidates are not viable at this time. However, there are some candidates on the outside looking to see if there's a stumble or if Biden can't go hard. All I have to do is mention a Joe Manchin, mention some others that I think would actually scare the White House a lot. I think they're looking to try and do a sort of a mini 2020 again. I think they're going to run a White House campaign, limit the press intake, and try and do what they believe worked last time, and that was just say, here's good Joe. We're going to play him off against bad Republicans. I don't think that's going to work. But again, it says a lot when you're looking at numbers all the time that say that even the Democrats are having trouble with Joe Biden.
All right. As I just discussed, gentlemen, thank you very much. We'll bring you back.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.